100 years ago, people had to stand very still when they got their picture taken. There were no moving pictures or video cameras, and there was only black and white film. So people from 100 years ago look a bit like statues. Life back then looks kind of still and gray. But it wasn't. It was full of color, of sound, and of action.
Let's race, Stella! Set, go! Here I go. I'm winning! No, you're not! I won!
Kids 100 years ago dressed differently, but they were a lot like us. They liked having fun and friends. They worried about some of the same things, and they had similar hopes and dreams, like becoming famous one day. This boy did become famous, and although he's standing statue still in this old black and white picture, he was to become one of Canada's most famous leaders. He was William Lyon Mackenzie King, the 10th Prime Minister of Canada. A Prime Minister is someone who leads a country. William Lyon Mackenzie King was picked by people across Canada because they thought he would do a good job, and he worked very hard to become the Prime Minister. This house is the one he lived in about 100 years ago. When his family moved here, he was about your age. This house was called Woodside, and it is now saved to tell you the story of William Lyon Mackenzie King. When you walk from room to room, picture William Lyon Mackenzie King, nicknamed Willie, as an energetic, active boy, doing chores, studying, playing games, or even pranks. Imagine what the walls could tell you about him if they could only talk.
Willie, you know you're not supposed to slide down the banister.
Willie, don't slide down the banister.
Willie! Willie! Look out! Father's coming! Oh, no!
Willie, have you been sliding down the banister again?
Children, listen to this article on factory reform from Saturday's Globe. The employment of child labor in factories should be guarded and checked.
It was Willie's family who introduced him to the world of politics. His parents encouraged their children to read books and newspapers and to discuss the important events in Canada and the world.
And mental growth of those so employed.
And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those
Religion
who
was an
trespass
important part of
against
the
us.
king's life.
Lead
A
us
lot of
not
their
into
time was spent in
temptation,
church activities.
deliver us from
They read the
evil.
Bible every day
Thine is
and
the
believed in
kingdom,
charity
power,
and doing good
glory,
works in God's name.
forever and ever. Amen.
Is it my turn? Yes, Max. Good shot, Max.
Willie realized that he was luckier than many other children. He knew that not everyone lived in a nice house like Woodside. He knew that many children were poor.
Here I go. You'll never make it.
During his time as Prime Minister, King helped to make new laws to ensure that parents in Canada would get money every month to help take care of their kids. King helped make sure that people without jobs could get some money while they weren't working. They called it unemployment insurance. King also helped write new laws to make sure that workers didn't work too many hours or too hard for very little money. A Prime Minister's job is leading a country and helping to make it a better place to live and work. A Prime Minister must also make some unpopular and difficult decisions. While King was Prime Minister, a great war broke out in Europe. It was called World War II. King decided to send soldiers to the war. He told the Canadian people that it was important to be willing to fight for freedom. King wanted Canada to be known as a strong country and to be respected by other countries in the world. But before William Lyon Mackenzie King became Prime Minister, he was a kid just like you and me. And he lived here at Woodside with his dad, John King, his mom, Isabel, his two sisters, Jenny and Bella, and his brother, Max. They even had pets, a dog named Fanny and a pony called Old Bill. Woodside was a happy place when Willie lived here over 100 years ago. The King family loved each other very much. John King, Willie's father, was a lawyer and was very involved in politics. Both of his parents made sure that Willie understood the importance of hard work and a good education. Willie's mother, Isabel, gave style and grace to life at Woodside. She was fun-loving but strict. She planned parties, family outings, and church events. She hired servants to help with the housework at Woodside. The children were also expected to do chores. Max and Willie had to bring wood in for the stoves.
I wish I could chop wood too. Come here. That's enough.
You chopped some more wood as you requested, Mrs. Dawson.
That's a big help, Master William. Could you add a piece to the fire for me?
Let me.
There was a lot more involved in heating and lighting houses back then. You couldn't just hit a switch and expect a room to be bright or warm, because electricity was not available at Woodside. Water had to be pumped every day because there was no running water in the house, and no indoor washrooms like we have now. There was a washstand in every bedroom where the children could wash up. And instead of an indoor toilet, there was a pot kept under the bed or in a cupboard so that during the night they wouldn't have to go outside to use the outhouse. In the spring and summer, Willie worked in his vegetable garden.
Everything looks so good. May I taste something? No, Jenny, I have to sell these.
Willie struck a deal with his mom.
These should fetch
She let him sell any extra vegetables that were left over once the Kings had enough for themselves.
House cleaning is the worst.
Jenny and Bella helped inside the house, mostly in the kitchen and pantry. They helped prepare the meals and tended to kerosene lamps, cleaning chimneys, and trimming wicks.
Sweeping, the dusting, and the ironing to do.
When school was out in the summer months, they helped with the laundry.
Jenny, don't let it fall in the grass. Jenny!
Laundry was hard work without electric irons or electric washing machines like we have today. Doing chores was only a small part of the kids' days. Going to school took most of their time. The King children used to do many hours of homework every night. Kids back then didn't have computers or calculators to help them. And instead of writing on paper, they often used small blackboards called slates. Handwriting, called penmanship, was very important. They would practice how to form letters over and over again. Spelling was also very important, and it was often done out loud, along with reading.
5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5
Children had to repeat times tables over and over.
is 30. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 9 is 40.
There were laws that children had to attend school, but many couldn't. Some children had to work in factories to help support their family. Farm children often left school to help harvest the crops. The King children were very lucky because they had their very own library at home to help them study.
Good shot! Now it's my turn. Oops, Willie! That's not fair.
Although school took up most of the day for the King children, there was still time for fun and games, like croquet, soccer, cricket, horseshoes, and quoits.
Holy Moses! My!
Good King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen when the snow lay round.
In the wintertime, kids did a lot of the things that we still do today, like skating and tobogganing. But instead of getting there by car, the Kings used real horsepower.
What are you making?
I'm going to make a snowman.
And you? I think I'll make a mouse.
Afterwards, they might have a candy-making party in the dining room. They would make mice mints in different shapes.
Well, we must save some for Edward and Margaret.
Oh, yes, we promised.
If they didn't feel like doing that, they could always use the dining room table to play crokinole.
Good shot.
On the days when it was too cold to go outside, there was lots to do
Look,
inside.
Max, there's the Tower of London. That's where they locked up kings and queens and executed them.
I wish we could go there and see it.
You could always look through the stereoscope, which back then was the closest thing to watching television.
There are so many countries in the world I'd like to see. Just imagine it.
Or, if you could find someone to play with, you could pull out a board game like checkers or snakes and ladders.
Oh,
There were no TVs or videos, and traveling was hard and expensive. So books were the best way to learn about the world. Books provided children with fun and adventure, and they were treasured.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green
Every
pastures.
night before going to bed,
He leadeth
the
me
King
beside
family
the
would
still
get
waters.
together in the library and
He
read
restoreth
from the
my soul.
Bible.
He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake.
oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant.
The Kings were a very close family. They enjoyed singing together around the piano in the parlor.
Come and behold.
The parlor was a room used for special occasions. It always looked beautiful, especially for parties and holidays. Willie's mom used to throw some of the best parties. They were so fine that they were written up in the newspapers. The children took dancing lessons, but the kids weren't allowed to go to the adult parties until they were at least 13 years old. Willie left this house when he was 16 years old to go to university in Toronto. When he became Prime Minister, he always remembered living at Woodside as one of the best times in his life. Mackenzie King never got married, and he was often lonely during his grown-up life. His happy memories of Woodside were very important to him, surrounded by his brother and his sisters and his loving parents. It was at Woodside where he learned more about the world. He realized that he was lucky to have a nice house like Woodside to live in, and food to eat, clothes to wear, and books to read. And that inspired him to care about others, to always try to be the best that he could be.
Let's do it again. King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen, when the snow lay round the bed, deep and crisp and even.
Willie King, the boy who became the 10th Prime Minister of Canada and led the country for almost 22 years. Much of what helped him to become a great Canadian leader, he learned right here at Woodside.